What's up, Carmination? Welcome into another edition of our college football best bets. We are live right now. It is just Brad and myself this week, no Chris. I believe we missed you last week. I think Chris might have done one on his own. I was sick, so I couldn't come on. I didn't want to be coughing, couldn't talk anyway, so it didn't really matter. How are you doing, though, Brad?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. I actually had the pleasure of going to the UCF Cincinnati game last week and then the Michigan State Ohio State game. So back in Orlando, back ready to win some money, honestly.
I hate to do this to Travis. I know he's listening. But man, UCF again. And I just we're done with the we're done with the gimme Bamas, right? Like we're just shot with it.
It's over.
The crazy thing is a lot of people they're like are talking about how bad UCF is, and they're like taking away from their they're taking away from their undefeated season, but it's not the same team. Like
it's not definitely not the same team.
That team had a shot to legit upset some major contenders. Now they don't. Their team's just not quite as good. But that's enough about UCF. Still gonna have a good season. They'll make a bowl. It's fine. So Brad, why don't you give us what you're playing this week?
All right, my first game is Penn State Nittany Lions going to Kinnick Stadium and taking on Iowa. I am going to go ahead and roll with Penn State -3, -3.5, wherever you see it. I'm kind of comfortable in this position here. We have a team that's averaging 47 points per game in Penn State. I know it's going to be a defensive battle with both teams only allowing around 9 points per game. I think Penn State's closer to 7. But if you just look at the numbers that Penn State's been putting up, I know they've been playing less opponents. They've put up 79 in a game, 59 in a game, 45 in a game, 35 in a game. I don't think that Iowa has the offensive firepower. And if I want to take my money, I'd rather back Sean Clifford than Nate Stanley. Although I did say I was impressed by Nate Stanley so far, but it's two different kind of offenses. I do appreciate the home field advantage, but honestly, I have to back Penn State here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like that. It's not too wide. I feel like it's probably going to open up a little bit more before game time. So I'm not 100% sure. I would probably get it at 3 right now. If you can grab it at 3, go ahead, grab that. If at 3.5, I feel like it's probably not going to get much wider than that. But my bet that I have this week is Georgia State, Coastal Carolina over 64. I mean, it's a high total, and I understand if you don't really want to play totals that high. But when you look at just the pace, Georgia State is they run about 87 plays per game. It leads the nation. Coastal Carolina is behind, but they're still at roughly 71, which is still easily it's top 75. It's actually 74th. If you look at the offenses too, Coastal Carolina is averaging almost half a point per play. It's 25th in the nation. Georgia State's 62nd in the nation in that category. So it's not elite, but also not terrible. And when you look at the defenses, Georgia State's allowing almost 0.6 points per play. It's absolutely insane. They rank 122nd. Coastal Carolina slightly under half a point per play at 101st. Two terrible defense. They're going to run a ton of plays, and the offenses realistically aren't that bad. So even at 64, I know it's high, but I would see both of these teams scoring in the 30s at least. So I do like the over on this one.
Yeah, when I was doing a little digging into this, I really wanted to look at the defenses for both sides. And Georgia State has been allowing around 40 points per game and 7.2 yards per game. Per play. That's enough for me to want to get there, knowing that both offenses can score. So when you have two struggling defenses and two offenses that are able to move the ball down the field, it's a recipe for the overhitting.
Yeah, I completely agree. So we had someone ask about my Prize Picks plays. Do you have any college football props from my Prize Pick that you're playing tonight? I haven't honestly looked at it yet.
I have not looked, not yet.
Just pulling it up. One that sticks out, Justin Herbert at 26.2. I will take the over on that. I do think that Oregon is going to light up Colorado tonight. They played a few tough pass defenses. Colorado, as we know, they don't have a very good pass defense whatsoever. So Herbert should see pretty easy throws, and I feel like that's still pretty low for arguably, I guess, the best quarterback in the nation. I feel like I don't think he's the top guy, but I know some people would argue that. So go ahead and play Herbert over 26.2. That's the only one that I will have for tonight. Do you have any other bets that you want to outline quick?
Um, I have a couple bets here. One that's going to be an alarming bet for a lot of people, especially since the public is just going crazy in this rivalry. Double-digit spread for Alabama at Texas A&M. I'm going to roll with taking the 17 points there with Alabama. It's just, you think about an offense that's averaging over 50 points per game versus struggling offense in Texas A&M. We got to be honest that this is not as good as a team as the team that almost beat Clemson last year. And last year, Alabama, although it was in Tuscaloosa, beat them by over 20 points. I think this is a favorable spread. And people might say that Alabama doesn't typically cover, but this is the first time in I think about 8 games in the regular season that they weren't 20-plus point favorites. So this is a good spot for them if you're getting them around 7. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 16.5, especially as money's going to fly in with this. Everyone just get rid of that notion that double-digit rivalry games, the underdog always hits. Not true. I went back and did a little bit of digging, and it's more close to like 35%, which made me feel a little bit more confident in my Alabama pick there.
Yeah, actually, I looked at Bama, and I considered them. I didn't pull the trigger on it. Maybe I will now that you said it, but I don't know. It just seems like a ton of people are backing A&M, which I don't want to say that I'm just going to get off of a game because of that. But it was kind of enough to make me second guess it. So I haven't put in a bet for it, but I do like Alabama in that spot too.
You got anything that you like?
No, I think that's the only one that I want to mention on here. I've made 3 bets so far total this week. I have 2 spreads. I picked 2 favorites. I'm not gonna jinx them by putting them on the podcast though. They went out in my email list. I don't know. College football hasn't been the best to me this year. Honestly, I feel like I've had a few tough beats, but there's just some games that I've gotten flat out wrong that I still don't figure out where I've gotten it. Last week, just for one, like I took Arkansas State against Georgia State, assuming that offense wasn't going to get stopped, and all of a sudden they couldn't stop Georgia State. Georgia State stopped them a few times, and like it wasn't even close, and they were pretty big favorites. So I don't want to jinx anything. I'm going to stick to the 1 over/under that I'm playing. So you guys can lock in the Coastal Carolina Georgia State over 64, Penn State -3 or 3.5, whatever you guys find, and Alabama -17. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead, give us a follow. Comment any games that you're betting below. We'll let you know whether we like them or not. And good luck to everyone this week. Hopefully you guys have a profitable week.